somebody else wins a race, well, it wasn't Josh Webster who won the opening round, it was Matty Graham. And then on the semi-reverse grid, they line up like this. Scott McKenna is on pole position. Dorian Mansilla, who was fourth this morning for his best finish of the year, is second on the grid, ahead of Ross Wiley, who took his best finish of the season to be third. Josh Webster starts fourth, ahead of race one winner Matty Graham. And then the non-finishers in the pro class come next. So you have Will Martin ahead of Sam McLeod. Mark Kimber comes next, with then Lorcan Hannafin and Harry King starting 10th. Esme Hawkey won Pro-Am, so she's on row 6 with Ryan Ratcliffe for company. Then Aaron Mason ahead of the Am winner from race 1, Justin Sherwood, ahead of his class opposition, Justin Armstrong, John Ferguson and Lee Frost. Lorcan Hannafin had a spin and put himself in the gravel in the first race, but it was contact between Mark Kimber and Will Martin that did for Mark and put him off the road. But the real question mark is how far up the order can Harry King get? He won from 6th on the grid at Luton Park, from 10th on a narrow circuit. This is going to be something.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to put anything past Harry because he's been absolutely dynamic, but we wondered who or what would stop him in his relentless process, having been on pole for every race and won every race bar one. But it turned out to be not a who, it was a what, and it was Knockhill circuit. But he'll be aiming to get back as far up the grid as he can, as Josh Webster has closed the points to just 12 points now.
So, Scott McKenna, the reigning Ginetta GT5 champion, starts on pole position. Dorian Mansilla, the Argentine driver, alongside him. There, 10th on the grid, is Harry King, as the cars then get set for 32 laps, or 30 minutes around here. So it's a long race for them in terms of laps, but is that going to help Harry King? Can he find a way through the order? We're about to find out then, as the grid is complete. The drivers look to the gantry. Who is going to make the best start? In round 8 of Carrera Cup GB, bit of creeping from 1 and 2 in the pack. The lights go out. Good getaway by Mansilla, but not as good as Scott McKenna, and he will lead the field down towards Duffers Dip for the first time. Mansilla tries on the outside line. What progress from Harry King? He goes round the outside there. Number 10 is the car to watch. The Team Parker Racing entry of Harry King, number 19, further back in the pack. Will Martin was on the outside line. There is King on the tail of the JTR car of Hannafin as they make the run up through the chicane for the first time. Harry King clambering all over the curb in his quest to find a gap on the inside against Lorcan Hannafin. Here he comes. That's one place gained.
Yeah, that's first step done. It was a fairly even start at the front. Both McKenna and Mansilla made great starts, good reaction away, but Harry King's already looking like he wants to overtake at every corner as he comes up by Mark Kimber, who gives him a lot of racing room on the inside. In fairness, probably thought wiser than to shut the door.
Yes, it's a bit irresistible, this pace of Harry King, isn't it? So Mark Kimber wisely lets him go, but McKenna leads then at the end of the opening lap. Mansilla is 7/10 of a second back as they dive down through Duffers Dip, and there Harry King, number 19, in 8th place. Next target is Will Martin. Where is Josh Webster in all of this? Josh is in 4th place, but Harry King has to delve into the cliche box, got the bit between his teeth. He's going for it.
He has. He was nearly off at Duffers, wasn't he? Very wide, just pushing absolutely to the limit, even on lap 2. Oh, a lot of people getting some slides on. Again, Harry King, wheels in the dirt. He drives at 11/10 every single lap.
And look, he's closing on Will Martin, who in turn is stuck behind Sam McLeod as they come through the hairpin. Josh Webster ahead of Matty Graham, those two attacking one another. But McKenna, who's had a 2nd place as his best result of the season already this year, comes over the line, and he's done the fastest lap as he tries to escape from Dorian Mansilla, trying to build this gap while they're all busy battling behind him. Harry King still in 8th place. He's plateaued for the moment as McKenna is getting away to the tune of 9/10 of a second now.
Yeah, just getting into his stride, doing a good job as Wiley looks to put the pressure on Mansilla, which will only help McKenna get a little Harry King, wow. He's dropping wheels off the road, left, right and centre, but he only knows one way to drive, and so far this year it's worked out for him. The problem in race 1 was simply that the main belt came off, which drives the water pump, so he lost all the water as the engine overheated. Fortunately, the engine was okay and they didn't have to change it. Here's a replay. Look, he comes off the curbs a bit hard, runs very wide, but just needs to calm it down a little bit. But I've said that before and he doesn't listen.
No, and it's great to watch, so long may it continue, Harry, so take no notice of him. Through Duffers Dip they come. Right now, Harry King is in 8th place, and he's inching his way up onto the tail of Will Martin. But at the other end of the field, as it were, Scott McKenna is getting away. Ross Wiley, who's done the fastest lap of the race. Now look at this, the red car of Ross Wiley, quickest car on the road, stuck behind Dorian Mansilla. Josh Webster crawling all over the back of him, and then Matty Graham is in 5th place, and if anything kicks off here, that'll play right into the hands of Harry King, because he can gain more places. Down to the hairpin, Webster to the inside line, here he comes for 3rd against Wiley, who gives him room. Wiley gets in the way of Graham a little bit, but Josh Webster goes through, Graham goes up to 4th, and Ross Wiley gets mugged.
Yeah, he really got mugged. Look, Will Martin's got through as well, and is being lined up, I think, by Harry King to get through into Duffers, and he does cleanly get through. That jostling amongst them. Josh Webster obviously thought, I've had enough of this. I can't wait around here any longer.
Get on with the task in hand. Right, so Harry King gains a place out of all of that as well. So he's now up into the top 6. And we're only on that 5 of 32. While all this is going on, though, Scott McKenna, there he is over 2 seconds clear already. Dorian Mansilla, the best we've seen of him all season, ex-Porsche Super Cup racer, coming to Carrera Cup GB this year. He's running 2nd, and he's keeping them all stacked up behind him, which is allowing McKenna to escape up the road. And a big, big slide. That is Will Martin getting it wrong, and that gifts another place to Harry King, as Will Martin is off in the weeds.
Yeah, Will Martin's had a bit of a dramatic weekend, hasn't he? He was in the thick of it in race 1, but yes, an easy place for Harry King now. He's got a little bit of a gap to catch up to race 1 winner, Matty Graham, but I'm sure he'll catch up with him fairly soon. Scott McKenna at the front, the other of the Redline Racing Team 81 cars, saw his teammate win the first race. He'd love to do the second. Right, oh, he just gets on the power right on the apex, and round goes the car. Fortunately, the grass was dry enough, he could just keep it going forwards.
He just touched the back as well of Graham, didn't he, as he was having that moment, as the lead gap then, 2 seconds. Let's see whether it's going to start coming down now as the leaders come up over the line. Lorcan Hannafin, who was in the gravel in race 1, going after McLeod. So McKenna to Mansilla. Yes, it is coming down. Dorian Mansilla has just done, or briefly had done, the fastest lap of the race. He's got the gap down to 1.8 seconds, but we have a new fastest lap, and it's by, yeah, you guessed it, Harry King.
Yeah, a little bit of clear air in front of him. The tyres are now up to full pressure and temperature. Takes a few laps, as I said in the first race, to get them all the way up to temperature. But a clear bit of road, and Harry King swipes that extra point for fastest lap at the moment.
There's the AM leader, Justin Sherwood, just behind the Pro-Am lead battle. Esme Hawkey just ahead of teammate Ryan Ratcliffe. And Justin Sherwood charging away from his class opposition. He's almost up with them. But Esme Hawkey, who's had 5 Pro-Am wins, 2 to Ryan Ratcliffe, so they've locked out the category against Aaron Mason. They come down to the hairpin, and there's less than a length in it, but Justin Sherwood's going to be up with them before long. Yeah,
very evenly matched, Esme Hawkey and Ryan Ratcliffe, and looking to be well placed in this category. Here's King. Was he any quicker on the last lap? Of course he was. Did another fastest lap.
So where is he off the lead? 3.8 seconds. And he's less than a second behind Matty Graham. Look at the energy put into that car. Is it under control or not? Well, it comes out of the chicane the right way, so that's all good. But Harry King is throwing everything at this.
Throwing everything at the car. Look, every corner, he's on the edge of literally on the edge of the curbs.
Imagine the car saying, all right, Harry, I've got the message. I'm going as quick as I can. Yeah. Down to the hairpin he comes, inching up a little bit further to the back of Graham now. There he is, look, the black and gold Redline Racing run entry is the one he's charging along behind. The lead gap has crept up slightly again. McKenna responding to the challenge of Mansilla. Now, meantime, Webster is all over the back of the Argentine. Can he find a way by? Down through Duffers Dip. This helps McKenna, but it also brings Graham and then King a little bit closer. Look, it's a queue of 4 pretty much for 2nd place.
Yeah, I don't see Josh waiting too much longer. Oh, Esme Hawkey's in the pits. I wonder if this is a legacy of the shunt she had in practice, and the car had to be rebuilt, where she was avoiding another car and had a nasty bounce over the curbs and did quite a lot of damage. I wonder if that's a legacy of that. Come on, Josh, what are you going to do? You've got to do something. He's going to try around the outside. He's got to hold it in.
Matty Graham up the inside, up the curb, contact. Mansilla gets turned around by Webster, and off he goes. Who benefits most out of all of that? Well, it's Webster that gains a place. Matty Graham is up there as well. Harry King goes through. Behind him is Ross Wiley, but that was all a bit physical.
Yeah, a bit messy, wasn't it? And as it happened, Josh Webster was in the right place on the outside. Usually that's where you get nerfed out, but it was on the inside that Mansilla got turned around.
He's still struggling to rejoin. Real shame that, because that was the best we'd seen of Mansilla all season. and that contact turning him around.
Yeah.
Here it is again.
Watch to the inside. Matty Graham just trying to put his nose in there, and there wasn't room.
Yeah, so Mansilla comes across the front of Josh Webster, but it was contact from Matty Graham, so Mansilla does rejoin, but a long, long way back. Real shame, that. So, race leader now, Scott McKenna, ahead of Josh Webster. Let's see what the gap is. 10 laps are in the book, and it's 3.8 seconds with Harry King up into third. He's got himself up past Matty Graham, so first to third is 4.3 seconds.
So here's the pass of Harry King. He's lined up McKenna, first race winner, who leaves the door wide open. Well, Harry King doesn't need any second invitation and throws the car up the inside. Perfectly judged manoeuvre, gets it stopped, and, well, look what has happened now. He's up behind his nemesis and teammate, Josh Webster.
Who thinks, oh no, I thought I'd seen the last of you for the day. So Harry King right there in the mirrors of Josh Webster. This is for second place. This and battle you're looking at is for second in class. John Ferguson, the Team Redline Racing squad, ahead of the car of Lee Frost. That's out of the Simon Green Motorsport stable. So King on Webster for second place. He could yet win this the way that he's going. He's lining up Webster. Where does he make the move? He has a look to the inside. Anybody that tells Harry King you can't overtake in a given category or as a given corner, he completely ignores. And look at the way that he's up from 10th on the grid to third place, and he's all over Webster like a rash.
Yeah, there's a 4-second gap though up the road to Scotty McKenna, but if he can get past Josh Webster and start nibbling into that lead, look, is he going to go for it? No, surely not.
Yes, he is. He thinks about it. He gets squeezed up onto the curb, but he's showed intent, hasn't he? He needs to try and make this move before Matty Graham comes back at him. But yet again, you put Harry King in a battle, and the race just comes alive, doesn't it?
Well, it does, because he just knows no limits. He doesn't know that if the car in front is a multi-race winner and champion, and he's on the right line, you still can't go up the inside. That doesn't compute. He drives that car just like he drove a Ginetta Junior.
Lead gap's increasing though. It's 4 seconds, first to second. So Harry King, not that he's not trying, needs to go for it. He does so now to the inside line for second place. He's up the curb, and that doesn't work either.
Well, he passed Josh Webster in a brave move at Alton Park at the last event, down the inside into Cascades, and, well, Josh won't know where to look in his mirrors.
So through they turn, with still there behind them in fourth place, Matty Graham. Ross Wiley is next in that queue as the cars sprint now down to the hairpin. So Harry King was tried in a couple of places. Does he try here? Not quite close enough, but he does catch back up under braking as they turn now through that right-hander.
Well, he just looks quicker everywhere, doesn't he? But it's so electric to watch with his opportunist passing. He just knows no boundaries. Is he going to have a go here? You never know. Is he going to be at the bottom of the hill again through Duffers? He gets quite a nice little run here.
There was a gap, but he sits behind for the moment. Josh Webster rides the curb on the outside, so where does Harry King strike? I can't believe he's going to settle for third place. That's not in his nature. Again, look, he's all over the curb. So spectacular, but all of this is costing them time against the race leader, isn't it?
Well, it is, but it's great, enthralling to watch, isn't it? And obviously, the longer it goes on, the less time there is if Harry King does get past to hunt down. Now he forces Josh Webster to defend in the hairpin. He'll try and tuck back. Good timing, but doesn't get off the corner any better.
So can he dive to the inside at Duffers Dip? He's certainly close enough to think about making that move, isn't he? Over the timing line they come. Is he close enough? Not there. Maybe at the bottom of the hill. That's 2 more laps he spent staring at the back of Webster's car. Gap to the inside. Here he goes. He's going to do it this time. Through he goes. Josh Webster gave him plenty of room, but Harry King is through, and straight away, look, he starts to stretch out that margin. 4.4 seconds his starting point. He's off the road. He's back on again. He's all over the place as he tries to defend. Dirty tyres on the limit. Sideways correction. Can he hang on to second place? Webster fights back. Harry King having made that little error coming out of the chicane. Josh Webster has his nose in front, down to the hairpin. Harry King has lost out on the inside, but he should get the place back. Matty Graham is up the inside line as well, and Harry King sideways out of the hairpin is in second place.
Well, he got the job done on Josh Webster and then made it really hard for himself, didn't he, just by making that mistake. And he doesn't lift off the throttle, so even when he's getting sideways, he's still got his foot planted, and that nearly turned him into a spin there, coming out of the chicane on the last lap. Let's see if he's a bit cleaner this time.
John Ferguson still fending off Lee Frost within the AMS and Justin Armstrong behind them. So 5.5 seconds, the starting point between the top two in order to see whether Harry King can do anything about winning the race. There he is. He's pushing on. Sector 1, he is quicker by 2 tenths. Sector 2, he's quicker by 2 tenths.
And look at the gap he's pulled out in this one clean lap that he's done. He needs to do this a lap more. Here's the move. He gets a great slingshot down through Leslie's and signals his intentions, and Josh Webster doesn't make it difficult, because if you're in Josh's position, you know he's coming through anyway. Look, he's flat on the throttle. The car nearly spins itself. He's got dirt on his tyres. He has to try and pull himself together as they go through Clark Corner, and just manages to hold on to the lead, but he's stretching it out now. 5.2 seconds the last time round across the line, the gap to Scotty McKenna.
He's great to watch. 5.2 seconds, it is coming down from that starting point of 5.5. Now, bear in mind, he's the Porsche GB Junior. That's 2 seasons funded by Porsche GB within this championship. And right now, you put your money on him being this year's champion. So, I know it's a bit hypothetical, but what would he achieve in his second year? It's almost worth him going straight to Super Cup, isn't it?
Well, I think there's a lot of talk about that in paddock. You know, he's going to be Super Cup ready by the end of the year, isn't he?
Yeah.
And if he dominates the championship in the way that he's doing now, what is the point of another year in the UK? It's just another year of domination. Yes, he might become a little bit more polished, but his speed is indisputable, and he would learn more from a year in Super Cup next year than in the UK again.
It's great for us to watch, but for career advancement, you think, yeah, put him on a Super Cup grid, or maybe a dual program if the date's worked out. So over the timing line here, John Ferguson versus Lee Frost. This is in the AMS, don't forget, and they're second, third and fourth. Justin Armstrong in the background. John Ferguson just hangs onto the place, a lock up by Lee Frost, who's been a class winner this year. Justin Armstrong is trying to gain if he can. So everywhere you look, there's a good fight going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the classes are working out very well at the moment, aren't they, for competitiveness?
And that's Justin Sherwood, who's about the only lonely man here, because he is away and gone in the AM category. But you know, Justin is a very accomplished driver, very experienced. He's an AM plus in a sense.
Yeah, I know. You need another class for him, really, don't you? But you know, you could say, well, maybe he should be a Pro-Am, but the Pro-Ams are a little bit further down the road, aren't they? So
yeah, well, that's the leader, because Ryan Ratcliffe took over the Pro-Am lead when Esme Hawkey pitted. So Ryan Ratcliffe, who won both races last time out at Alton Park, is set for at least one win here, with Aaron Mason up into second place now.
Great fun driving a Carrera Cup car, 485 horsepower around this circuit. You really are very busy. Obviously these cars have paddle shifts now. Back in the day when they had stick shifts, you were really busy. It was very easy to miss a gear change, but paddle shifts make it a bit easier. It still is a really busy lap.
That's why he deliver such good racing. John Ferguson there, the Northern Irishman, busy at work. Esme Hawkey saw in the background back out, got a couple of laps down after the pit stop. Now, what's happening overall up front? 5.5 seconds is down to 4 seconds, so no doubt about it, there is Scott McKenna being caught, and not only is he being caught, he's coming up to traffic, which is something else he could well do without, and it might just help Harry King even further.
Yeah, well, last time round, King was 0.6 of a second quicker. This time round, we'll see what the time is again. Well, he's half a second quicker, so he's catching fast. He's going to catch it by the end of this race, no doubt. And we know what happens when he catches up. He tries to overtake in every corner.
And normally succeeds.
Yes.
3.6 seconds that gap is down to. So Scott McKenna, you're on borrowed time really here. John Ferguson has been reeled in again here, looked by Lee Frost, then to second of the AMS. Let's see if this is going to be a pace change. Don't forget the leader is bearing down on them as they head towards the hairpin here, but Ferguson still has the inside line and he still has the place.
Yeah, when you're involved in a scrap like this, even if you get blue flags, you don't always see the leader coming through, and you don't want to give up much space, but there's going to be a few laps before the leader's right up with them.
Ferguson into Duffer's Dip. Lee Frost on his own for Simon Green's team, because regular teammate Lucky Carrera is away at Donington racing something Italian, but he'll be back for the rest of the championship. Ferguson towards the chicane, and the lead gap 3.3 seconds as Harry King relentlessly, remorselessly closes in on the race leader.
Only a couple of tenths on that lap though, so not as big a chunk as he would have liked.
There's Hawkey in the background, and then recovering Dorian Mansilla as well. Real shame for Mansilla, nerfed down to 16th place.
Yeah, he was on for his best result again. He'd already done that in race 1, but he won't be very happy. He's also obviously running the red line, so he won't be very happy with his teammate.
No, very true.
Different colours, but the same team.
Yeah, it's a mighty operation that some of the teams run with multiple cars across multiple classes. Red Line, Team Parker Racing, Into Racing amongst those established Porsche teams. Right, lead gap down another couple of tenths, 3.1. You're right, it's not coming down as markedly as it was 2 or 3 laps ago.
No, he needs to be taking half seconds a lap out of him, doesn't he?
Yeah. But there is the traffic up the road. So Harry King, unless he's just giving the tyres a breather, having really ragged them earlier on. However,
it's Harry King. Does he ever give the tyres or a car breather? No, he's flat out all the time.
Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. Yes, out of cars he comes, wide over the curb. He's done the fastest lap of the race. In sector 1, he pulled back, what, 2 tenths? So he's going the right way about it. The gap is coming down. And look, Scott McKenna is almost up with those back markers now.
Yeah. So, and you can catch the back marks. John Ferguson into the pit lane.
Indeed, so out of second place in the AMS, John Ferguson goes to the pits, and the lead gap is down to 2.8 seconds. That's a bit more like it.
Yeah, and if you catch them at the wrong place, say coming out of here, McIntyre's with the chicane to come, you could lose a couple of seconds.
Well, it's 1 back marker less, isn't it, in a sense? So John Ferguson to the pits, Dorian Mansilla then, with Scott McKenna flashing his lights behind him, comes now towards Clark's. But then there's yet more traffic arguing over position further up the road. Mansilla trying to get out of the way. Sector 1, the gap was down by another 3 tenths. So Scott McKenna is charging. He's got the wake-up call now. Harry King bearing down on him. Yeah.
Harry King may get through before... No, he won't get through before the twisty section, so he will get held up.
Scott McKenna doing a good job here. He's been another good addition to Carrera Cup GB this season. He's come out of Ginetta GT5s that give spectacular racing, yes, but a different type of racing, and of course coming into a car here with much more power, but he's adapting nicely. Yeah, very much so. The team look really smart, and good driving by Esme Hawkey, getting out the way. But he's done a really good job. In testing at the start of the year, he was immediately quick and gelled very well with the car. Obviously, he knows the total program as well. Doing a fine job, but he's going to have, very soon, he's going to have Harry King on his tail. He is indeed, but he's getting through the traffic nicely. Harry King has still got 2 back markers to get through. Last time that gap was down to 2.1 seconds between the top 2, and this time as they break the beam, the gap is 1.5 seconds. So Harry King is almost there, isn't he? Scott McKenna counting down the laps, and he can't see that checkered flag soon enough. No, he can't. It's going to be very close, isn't it? Yep. Got 4, 5, 6 laps to go. It's going to be very close. Just depends how quickly Harry King gets through this traffic then before Scott McKenna gets clear real estate, because now he is through the traffic. He can get away, as there are still 2 cars for Harry King to negotiate. But he just had a huge moment coming out of the chicane, which lost his run towards Mansilla before Clark Curve, and it's these little mistakes he needs to iron out. Mansilla up the inside there for position against Lee Frost. Through he goes. Now Harry King should clear both of them, or should he? No, because Frost tries to get back against Mansilla, and he moves across to exactly where Harry King wanted to be. He gets past him round the outside. Mansilla lets him go as well. So good driving by both the back markers there to get out of the way of an oh-so-inspired Harry King. The car is barely on the ground. It's barely in the... Every time you look inside the car, you see his hands twitching and working. It's just wonderful. He's making corrections on the wheel while the car's in the air. You know, it's literally flying a lot of the time around this circuit. So through Clark's he comes. At the start of this lap, the gap was 1.2 seconds. From 10th on the grid, Harry King has charged up through the traffic, and it won't be long before that gap is less than a second. We're going to have 5 laps to go imminently as he comes through the hairpin onto the power. Is that gap down to within the second now? Let's see. Scott McKenna looks in his mirror and thinks, oh no. Over the line they come. The gap is was 1.2, so not quite as much of a gain as you might have anticipated, but he's clear of the traffic now. So now Harry King has only got one more car to worry about, and it's the leaders.
Yeah, but he knows, Scott McKenna knows this is game on now. He knows he's in the mirrors. He's got clear track. He's got to give it everything he's got and hope that Harry makes a few small mistakes. We haven't seen any mistakes from McKenna yet. He's been very clean, but he's going to be under huge pressure. We talked about it in the first race with Matty Graham, absorbing the pressure at the end of the race. It's the hardest part of the race to manage if you've never won a race before in the category.
So Scott McKenna, is he going to be denied at the last? Let's see. 1.2 seconds last time. Over the timing line now to put 28 laps in the book. The gap is 9/10 of a second. So it's about 3/10 a lap. On that basis, it's going to be very close indeed. It could be a run to the line, couldn't it? But Scott McKenna, even if he's caught, just needs to make that car wide. Just. Trouble is, Harry King might drive over the top because he'll try anywhere.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't think you can defend easily because King will just go for any gap, left or right. You've just got to really drive your line as fast as you possibly can, and maybe just defend into, well, I say into which corner? It's all of them for if Harry's behind.
Right, more traffic up the road, look, as Scott McKenna comes into the hairpin. That's Aaron Mason, the Pro-Am driver, the Doncaster driver, Volkswagen Racing Cup champion, just up the road. We have seen him in the BTCC, if you can cast your mind back to Walton Park, when Sean Holland's Volkswagen was in the championship, but right now he's about to go a lap down. The gap is 6/10 now between the top two. Just for the point of record, there are more people in this race. Josh Webster is amongst them, he's third. Matty Graham is fourth, Ross Wiley fifth, Lorcan Hannaford is sixth. But again, it's all eyes on the Harry King show. Through the chicane he comes. McKenna gets up behind Aaron Mason. Does he keep out of the way of both? Yes, he does. Well done. So the gap is what, 4 or 5 lengths?
That was advantage King for sure, because McKenna was held up a little bit through the chicane. I mean, by comparison, Webster's 6 seconds behind these group.
So as they come through the hairpin then, for the end of lap 30, the gap was 0.6 of a second. Let's see what it's going to be this time around as they head over the line. We have now got 2 laps to go. It's just over half a second. Harry's going to have to dig deep here. It's not quite the shoe-in he might have hoped.
No, 2 really good, clean laps from McKenna. Could get him his first win.
So downhill they go. Flick through the chicane.
Clearly, Harry King was a bit quicker through the chicane there. Just bravery, really, sheer bravery.
Again, he's running out wider at Clark, so he's got 1 more lap to go. Is this going to be his drive of drives from 10th on the grid? You can see the commitment being put in as he brakes so late into the hairpin. Again, there's a tiny error, but he corrects it. Has that wasted too much time as he slingshots out of the hairpin? On to the last lap of the race. The margin is what? 3/10.
Yeah, nothing. He got McKenna to defend into the hairpin when McKenna didn't really need to, actually, but then he messed up his own braking into the hairpin, but he's right on him. McKenna's going to defend every corner on this last lap.
Harry King thinks about the inside there, but he's going to run out of room because then there's the chicane. If he gets a good run out of the chicane, there's a chance at Clark's. McKenna is sideways. That's going to give the advantage to King. Tries the inside. McKenna defends. To the outside line goes King. McKenna's off. McKenna goes wide and he throws it away. Off he goes over the curve through the gravel, and Harry King has done it. Scott McKenna, rallycross style, gets back onto the circuit, but Harry King on the last lap of the race is up front. He's going to win another fantastic Porsche Carrera Cup GB race. We're running out of superlatives about the guy, but Harry King has done it again as he comes across the line to win at Knockhill. That is win number 6 of the season out of 8 races. Second place goes to Scott McKenna. He was unlucky, but it was a good drive for the first 31 laps in nothing else. Third, Josh Webster. Matty Graham fourth. Ross Wiley fifth. Lorcan Hannaford sixth. Pro-Am winner Ron Ratcliffe. The AMs go the way of Justin Sherwood, but Harry King, what can you say about the guy? We keep saying he's a star, but that doesn't tell the whole story.
No, it doesn't. Sherwood comes through to win the AM class. A good drive from him. But yeah, no question about Harry King. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Poor Scotty McKenna. He made a mistake coming out of the hairpin. He's looking in the mirror. He then locks up the brakes into Clark, runs wide, and through goes Harry King. He just needed half a lap more of keeping his cool and keeping it together.
So near and yet so far, but that, I suspect Harry King will tell us, is the drive of his life, to come from 10th, and in a race like that as well, where he had to work for it. It wasn't that people fell off ahead of him and he lucked into it. That was proper racecraft, wasn't it? What a drive. Outstanding stuff from Harry King as he makes his way then into the pit lane. So that is a 6th victory in Carrera Cup GB. Oh, time for a deep breath, but excellent stuff. And that's the reaction from Scotty McKenna's part of the pit lane when he arrives into Parc Fermé. Josh Webster finishing in 3rd, more points, but not being able to match the pace of Harry King, whose mentor, Chris Hodgins, there with the face mask on, wanders down the pit lane. And it's going to be, no doubt, a delighted Harry King that clambers out of the car in a moment. There, the door opens. Out he gets. Scotty McKenna so near and yet so far.
Oh, so disappointed. You can see it. His shoulders are slumped. Team are trying to congratulate him, but you can't take anything away from Harry King.
No, exactly. So the top two, both British Racing Drivers Club Rising Stars, and Harry King, the race winner. Round 8 of Carrera Cup GB goes the way of Harry King on that last lap. Scott McKenna 2nd and Josh Webster takes 3rd from Matty Graham, Ross Wiley and Lorcan Hannafin in 6th. 7th, Sam McLeod ahead of Will Martin and Mark Kimber, with Ryan Ratcliffe winning Pro-Am and taking 10th overall. Justin Sherwood 11th to win the AM category ahead of Dorian Mansilla. Aaron Mason 13th ahead of Lee Frost and then Justin Armstrong. Esme Hawkey 16th, a couple of laps down, and we lost John Ferguson into the pit lane mid-race with dramas.